AGP on the ground floor clinic. If you want to find out more, stay tuned. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Reza. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Education at the School of Dentistry, University of Manchester, and thanks a lot for joining me on the first episode of Manchester Molars in 2021. If I have not seen you already, Happy New Year, and I really hope that 2021 would be a fantastic year for all of us. Now, before I start this episode, I have to remind all the students who are coming to the dental hospital about two very important things. Number one, make sure that when you arrive at the dental hospital from the staff entrance door, on your right hand side, first of all, gel your hands, and second, put a surgical mask on. And do not remove that mask at all, unless you're eating, of course. This means you have to maintain your mask anywhere within the building, including your changing area. And second, there is a notice outside every single room in the building telling you the maximum number of people which are allowed in that room. That includes the student common room. So if the capacity is 12, it means 12. Please refrain from entering into the room if you already noticed there are 12 people in there. And most importantly, when you're in the room, maintain your social distancing. Now, before I talk about AGP and ground floor clinic, I'm going to acknowledge and thank a number of our students who did a fantastic job over the past few months providing our year one students with anatomy revision courses. I'm going to invite Yasmin, our BDS year 2 students, to tell you all about it.
Yasmin, so I understand this is a joint effort between obviously you guys as part of the Manchester Pediatric Dentistry Student Society and Manchester Undergraduate Dentistry Research Society. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about this activity and what happened and what you guys have done so far?
Yeah, sure. So, hi guys, I'm Yasmin. I'm a third of the coordinating team for this project, and I just want to give a shout out to my fellow committee members, Samaya Al-Attar and Sabina Rahman, who also helped to coordinate the effort. So our two societies joined forces in order to provide anatomy revision sessions for the first year dental students, but also oral health science students. And these sessions were also available to any upper years who wanted to join in as well. And the main reason we just put on these sessions was to simply provide support to the first year students who obviously are doing online learning and just give them a bit of support during lockdown. We put on these sessions for 9 weeks, every Friday night, and the turnout was great. We had around 70 to 90 students per session. And we also recruited students from years 2 to 5 to actually deliver these sessions. And the rationale behind that was to give them some teaching experience. And at the same time, it meant that the first years could have an opportunity to interact with the upper year students, which they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise, really. Alongside each revision session, we gave worksheets and then released answer sheets a few days after. And it's quite challenging to coordinate it, obviously alongside our own studies, but the fact that it seemed to help a lot of students has really made it worthwhile doing.
This is absolutely wonderful work, so it's definitely commendable. Well done, you guys. And we are accompanied by a number of our BDS Year 1 student colleagues who have been on the course, as my understanding. I'm just going to look at Chloe first, if you don't mind. Chloe, would you like to tell us a little bit about your experience, please?
Yeah, I thought the anatomy sessions were really useful. It was so good that we had our anatomy Zoom session with our tutors on the Monday, and then we went in the dissection room on the Tuesday, and then we also had this now third additional session on the Friday. So it was really good to confirm everything you knew, and you had a chance to ask questions that you didn't get to ask during the anatomy sessions with the university. And I found particularly the worksheets really helpful as well, because it's good to get some experience of what a spotter is really like, because you don't really get questions from the university so much. So it's good to have a good practice before the mock. And I think it really helps me get a good score in my mock and hopefully in the real exam next week as well.
So Chloe, thank you very much. That's very helpful feedback. I'm now going to ask Bilal to see if he's happy also to give us a little bit insight into his experience. Bilal?
Thank you, Reza, of course. So for me, I think one of the most useful aspects of the revision sessions was just the fact that it felt like an added component to our learning. So as Chloe mentioned as well, on top of our Monday and Wednesday sessions, it was that Friday final session, which was really useful to just kind of bring everything together. I think the speakers were also really useful in the sense that they were very passionate about everything they were delivering. And for us, that helped to make anatomy a lot more fun to learn as well. And finally, I'd just say the continued support is really helpful. Like Yasmin and Samaya, for example, they're in our year group chat. They're always sending resources, even outside of the sessions. So it's just that continued support that I think we can all say we really appreciate as a year group.
Thank you, Bilal. That's very helpful feedback. And Safa, how was your experience with the course, please?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what's already been said by Chloe and Bilal. I also think the practice MCQs and the anatomy spotlight questions were very helpful during the session, because it allowed us to be interactive and like type in what we thought the answer was, and then find out if we were right or wrong. So it helped consolidate our knowledge and see if we knew that part of anatomy well or not. It's just been a really great experience, and on behalf of the whole year group, I think we can all agree that it's been very useful for all of us, and we really do appreciate all the hard work that's been put into it.
Lovely, thank you very much. So Yasmin, is this it, or is the program still continuing?
Yeah, so it's finished now for this current academic year, but
And you're planning to bring this back for next academic year, I believe.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we're going to continue.
Now, Yasmin, on another note, I believe you've also not only done all the organization for the teaching, but also you raised some money for a charity. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what charity it is and what you've done?
Yeah, sure. So because the sessions have been really well received, we thought that our societies could use the opportunity to raise a bit of money for charity. And the chosen charity is Dental Mavericks, and they provide emergency dental treatment to children in Lebanon and Morocco. So from student donations, we were able to raise over £170 for the charity. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who donated or shared the link. And I also just want to say a massive thank you to all the student speakers who volunteered their time to deliver these sessions. And we hope that they gained some good experience from that. And to all the first years, well, Bilal, Chloe and Safa, thank you for your kind words. It means a lot. We just hope that you do well in your anatomy exam this month.
So this week we return back to the ground floor clinic with the hope that we start seeing all our non-AGP and AGP patients on the open plan clinic. Right, now talking of AGP, and guess who is on the phone? It's Dr. O'Connor. Hi Damian.
Hi Reza.
Are you ready for a quick Zoom?
Yeah, I'm ready for Zoom.
Okay, fantastic. I will see you in a bit.
Right, hi Damian. So I can see you on Zoom now. How are you today? Are you well?
Very well, thank you, Reza. Yes.
I was meaning to be catching up with you all day. I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for being pretty much on the ground floor clinic every single day of this week almost. And you're going to be again on every single day of the week for next week as well. Thanks a lot. Tell us a little bit about what's going on the ground floor clinic.
Okay, well, this has obviously been our first week where we're back treating patients. And yes, there have been some hiccups. There's been some problems where there have been patients booked in that we weren't aware of. But I have to say, a real tribute to all the students. We've managed to cope, and this is what we do. We worked as a team, and people made their own arrangements, got used to a new system, and all patients that actually attended the dental hospital were seen, and that's a real asset, and I think we can congratulate all the students on that. Overall, I'm much happier when we're busy. I know you can be too busy, but rather than not being busy enough. So I would give it a cautious 8 on 10, Reza. How's that?
Of course. But minding you, we're coming back to a new system, aren't we? It's the same as when we started at the early October, and we had a couple of weeks of a small teasing problems, and gradually we did it as a team, didn't we? So we as a staff, we've got the same challenges as students we have to overcome, and I'm sure and I'm confident that we can all do it together. So I'm hoping you agree with me on that. So one question I think lots of people are asking me is whether the AGP is going to go ahead the next week or or not. And I think it's best to confirm it here now that yes, so far as far as I'm concerned, that we are going to have the AGP sessions to continue. If you got booked patients, then hopefully we go ahead and have those sessions done. But on the positive side, earlier today, I sent some links to the vaccination program.
Yes.
And I think it's just fair to say, like, obviously they work long hours, they work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's only an MRI, which is very close to the dental hospital. So I really have to encourage all our staff and students to take the opportunity, because this is a great opportunity that we are offered with, and just have their vaccination done, at least the first dose by the weekend. Do you agree, Damian?
I absolutely agree, and I actually had my vaccination this morning. It's very efficient at the MRI, very well run. And not only do you get the first dose, they book you the appointment for the second dose as well. So I would totally endorse that, and I think we all have to protect ourselves and our families, and I think we should all press ahead with that. I would encourage everybody to go ahead with the vaccination.
Okay, very good. Now, coming back to the ground floor clinic, I think one of the common themes we had was lots of students quite rightfully queuing at the student desk trying to hand in their appointment slips. Now, I think we've made some improvements to the slip, and we're hoping that the students don't have to even wait to speak to somebody. Am I right? They can just leave them there.
Yes, I think what we discussed this, I think it was on Wednesday, with a group of students who were having to wait at the reception desk, and we all agreed that there are two things we can do that will improve this situation. Number one, use these appointment slips correctly, and that the appointment slips can be left at reception and really leave the reception staff to deal with that. So that's the first thing we can do. The second thing that we can do is use email more, and people were saying that they wanted to request patients, or they had some queries about their patients. So I think if we start to use email more, this will then reduce the flow and the footfall at reception. And the third thing I think that we're all in agreement with is we are encouraging people to contact their patients and confirm appointments. So we have arranged to use the telephone on ground floor clinic. I know there's only one, but if it's sensible and it's done in a sensible way, then that again will reduce the footfall at reception.
Of course.
We understand there's been some teething problems with appointments, and we'll be working on that next week with Colin. We will actually sit down and try and resolve that situation.
Of course. And obviously the end goal is for students to be in charge of booking their own patients. So there would be no surprises on the clinic. So they can have their own diary, they can arrange their own times. So everything is going to work a lot better. It's just we are in that kind of a steep learning curve period at the moment, but I'm sure things are getting better. And I'm sure one of the things which is going to massively help is to make sure the standard operating procedure is followed. So I've heard that some of the students may have turned up on the clinic without reading the SOPs. That's right, Damian.
It is right, and we're making it really clear that you can't expect to be able to do your first AGP clinic on the ground floor clinic without at least having read that standard operating procedure in detail. So we can't stress enough how important it is. Spend a bit of time this weekend and actually read it properly. Have a look at the process, have a look at the timings, so that when we go ahead and do our first AGP sessions, you have a good idea of exactly what you've got to do. Now, each day this week, we have had advice from the nursing staff about cleaning down. And we've also discussed with every student the timings and how they should go about bringing their patients in, how long they've got for an AGP session, and exactly what they have to do when it finishes. But it is really, really important that people read that SOP.
Okay, thank you, Damian. And I think finally, the last thing we also discussed at the UPC yesterday, the Undergraduate Program Committee, was the fact that we're trying to explore how we can move the whole patient waiting list into an online platform. So students, rather than try to be dependent on the desk, then they can choose the patients from this online portal on any of the trust computers and go ahead and book the patients. So I think that's quite good news, isn't it?
I think that's going to be, as the saying goes, a game changer. I think that will be fantastic for everybody. Not only will it allow students to be specific about the type of patients they're choosing, but it takes the pressure off the reception staff. And I think anything that helps them has got to be a good thing in the long run. So I believe Sarah Hardman reckons it might take a week, maybe a week or two to get that set up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure most of the students are as well.
Same as me. I'm absolutely looking forward to that. Now, Damian, thank you very much for joining me on this episode. Is there anything else you would like to add before I say goodbye to you?
No, I think people have really worked very hard this week, both tutors and students, and I've been very impressed. I also like the system where you have some the dental therapists, you have some fourth years, and you know it is we are developing, and we will develop over the weeks a really good team atmosphere there, where, for example, if you wish to refer your patient or have part of your treatment done by a dental therapist, if they're actually on clinic, it's much better for them to come and meet the patient. So I do think that's going to work really, really well. So and I think the tutors have been really good this week, and I think overall we can give ourselves 8 on 10 at least for this week. So it's been really
good. I agree with that, and I really have to thank all our staff and students for being so good this week, and I'm very positive that next week is going to be definitely better than what we experienced this week. Okay, fantastic. So thanks for joining me. Lovely seeing you. Look after yourself.
Thank you very much.
And I will see you tomorrow.
See you. Bye-bye. Yes, so the vaccination program is indeed at our doorstep. If you do come to the dental hospital building for any reason, clinical or non-clinical, you are now eligible to go ahead and have your vaccination done. The MRI operates on 7 days per week, 12 hours per day, so there are plenty of opportunities during this weekend to go ahead and get yourself vaccinated. So before I go, again, the 2 reminders. 1, don't forget about your mask, and 2, never overcrowd any of the places in the dental hospital. Until next week, I've been Reza Roudsari. You've been fantastic as you always are, and I'll see you next week.